Welcome everyone. So this is an audio recording and I'm going to be sharing it across different platforms. Do forgive any background noise that may ensue. That is out of my control. So it's been a minute and I have grown since some of my last postings that some may have remembered from a couple of years ago. So you all are invited to read the description, read my bio. I am Iset Asante on all platforms so that you can be updated as to where I am now as an evolutionary being in this physical realm. So to the topic, this is an installment called IsetTheMic, and I'm going to be referencing aspects of NA, which will stand for not applicable or not available. So first, let's start with IsetTheMic. How many of you have had the experience where you remember picking up an object, whether that's a brush or a water bottle, for example, and utilizing that as a microphone? So when I'm feeling playful, I will do this sometimes and maybe sing and speak on some of my thoughts. So also what I've noticed is that there is a Clubhouse app that I joined in October 2021, and it is an audio app where people come and they create spaces where people can join them on a stage or in the audience. And if you're in the stage, you participate by conversing with people in the space, and if you're in the audience, you're there listening. So when people are on the stage, they usually end by stating their name and saying that they're done speaking, or the famous "I land my plane." And why this is important is because we have some people that are visually distinct. That means that they see differently than atypical people. And I choose to use the term visually distinct because it is my experience that utilizing words like visually impaired brings about a notion of something being broken. And I don't feel that there's anything broken about how we all show up in our distinctions. So essentially, it is important for those that are visually distinct to know when a person is done speaking, who they are, so that they can be clear about how the conversation is going, since they're not able to visually see the stage. So going forward, what I would do is say, I am Iset, and I set the mic. That is how I would conclude my speaking point and close the microphone. So that was just a reutilization of where I had started my podcast, where I Set the Mic was also introduced there. The podcast at the time was called She Dances in the Rain. And I didn't create that title. I did do research to find out, who was using this before me and all of those different things. So it is not something that I birthed, but it is something that I shared and utilized under that name, She Dances in the Rain, because those that know that I enjoy dancing in the rain, and that I invite you all, if you have not had an experience, to dance in the rain. And if you are open to it, dance in the rain in the nude. It is an exhilarating and liberating experience. So go on on a birthday suit and go on live up on a life. So with that being said, here we will begin with this part of the series of not applicable, not available. So a couple examples. Have you ever experienced where you have called someone, sent someone a message, and you know that this person is very active on their devices, and you're trying to understand, well, it's been a minute, it's been a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, even a year, and you haven't heard from that person. But you know for a fact that they're very active. You know people that know them, and they've just engaged with them, and you know that they're talking and that they're receiving their messages and phone calls. So depending on how your neurodistinct brain works, and this message is not just for those who are neurodistinct, but if this is applicable to you, is that sometimes you have to go through certain questions in your mind about whether or not this person is well. Life is lifing for all of us. Perhaps they've experienced an accident. Sometimes things happen with technology, all of these different things. And at the same time, you could also have internalized thoughts where you think that the person is doing that intentionally, that they're not wanting to respond to your message because either they don't like you, they have an issue with you, they don't think you're important enough to respond, all of those different things. Another example I could use is you may experience the need for closure. So you may have a person in your life, it doesn't matter if that person is a colleague, a loved one, a classmate, etc., and they just disappear. and you experience like a ghosting and you don't understand like what happened, where did they go, again, you're wondering, are they okay, is there something going on in their life, or did personally something happen that you're not aware of and this is why they're just gone. Also with a discard, where you know that a person has an issue with you, but they don't want to talk to you about it. They have an avoidant personality, or they're into self-preservation, and so as such, they just discontinue conversation and communication with you. But you don't feel any wholeness and completion. You don't feel like you've had the closure you needed. These are just some of the examples of how I have been able to be with those different things. So I tend to have a need for things to go in certain places. Like in my everyday life, I'm as organized as I know how to be. It allows my brain to be clear. A clarity, understanding is essential to my growth and my happiness, and my ability to function with confidence. And so what has been empowering for me is to, one, not internalize the actions of others, because if someone hasn't directly come to me and said, Iset, this is how I experience you, this is what's going on, then I do my best not to create stories around what people are doing or not doing. At the same time, for me, certain things are left unsaid, unfinished, and I don't know what to do with them. And so going forward, I place those things in the not available, not applicable category. Because how many of you recall when you're filling out a form, a document, and there are a whole bunch of things in categories, but you don't see yourself in that category, other than the one that says not applicable, not available, and sometimes there is the option for other, and then you can fill it in for yourself. And so I found this to be helpful for me in everyday life. So going forward, I no longer have to create stories around what people are doing or not doing in relationship to themselves and myself. And things don't remain in the not applicable, not available category for me. They can shift from that space into a different understanding with new clarity, whether that person has the ability to communicate to me when they're ready, or just that I've come into a new understanding through word of mouth or just different observations. So for me, this is how I've been able to progress in my neurodistinction. Neurodistinction is going to show up differently for all of us, and I know this may be a new term for some of you, and I will expound upon that in the next installment of I Set the Mic. So I do feel that I may be forgetting some things that I want to say, and if that is the case, I will do a part 2 to this. However, I do want to keep these installments below 10 minutes if possible, because I find that that's a lot better for my time and for your time as well. So I want to say thank you to all of you who have been in my life through my journey, who have embraced me as I am, who have accepted me as I am and allowed me to be who I am, always recognizing there's a foundational aspect to who I am that I communicate to the best of my ability. Because I am one of those people that have recognized I am not able to respond to messages and texts and phone calls immediately. And yeah, most likely I definitely have seen it, but things are occurring and I'm not able to respond at that time. And so I let people know in the beginning that it's not intentional, it's not on purpose, this has nothing to do about you or me and you in our relationship, whatever that is. It just means that I need to take some time to respond, because I do enjoy responding to people full-heartedly. I don't like when people send me a message and I just respond with, acronyms and just short answers. I like to give it my full response as though they were right in front of me and we're having a full-on conversation. So, to everyone, my last words are, embrace your nature. It has the roots to restore you. I am Iset, and I set the mic.